Hello, hello. We should be live. Ah, that's beautiful. Let's project a slide first. So welcome everyone, if someone is there, because we have no idea if they're there or not. And we are projecting and we cannot see the slides and like anything else. So I hope you guys are just there. That's amazing. It should show how many other people are there. It doesn't? So we're gonna wait a few more minutes because we are slightly in advance with the beginning of the consultancy space, and then we will we'll actually start. Yeah, there is always a delay. Any chance it disappears?
What?
Make it disappear?
I don't think so.
None yet. Oh, beautiful. Oh, someone is here in the tracker. Will they ask questions? If you're asking questions in the tracker, you're very smart because we all reply from there. Okay, we wait a couple of more of minutes, then we start. You can write your questions in the tracker if you're already there. Otherwise, we will explain about that in a second.
He was opening on the laptop, then he was able to see.
Dobra, let's start. We are already 2 minutes through the beginning of the touch point, officially, let's say. So welcome everyone, whoever is there, to the OD consultancy space for MC applicants in Poland, 1920. Good choice if you're here already. We can assure you the experience is totally worth it. So congratulations for taking this step. And now we will go through the consultancy space itself so that you can prepare the best way possible and run a very, very successful election process. Now, so before we even start, I revamped this link to the question and answer tracker. It's a spreadsheet in which we are collecting questions from the applicants and replying directly there. If you'll be writing during this open space, we can try to answer live in the space as well, and then also publish the answer in the post. So there is a specific section, a specific tab for OD in the tracker. So you can go there and write whatever question you might have. So we'll start from our side. This is the agenda of this consultancy space. So we'll go through a current context of ISAC for Poland. Then we will address the direction that the department has had for the past semester and the one it will have in the next one. Then we'll move on through the current challenges that we are facing in this role, as well as the strengths that the department has at the moment. And we will close with how is the experience of an MC member in such department, and there will be space for answering your questions as well at the end of the space. So we start from an historical context. As you can see, we have around 4 MC terms of a context. So starting from the term 1516, an OD model was in place back then. I'm not sure how detailed or structured that was, but I know that it was kind of replaced and it was not really followed up from the next generations. So it was either hard to manage or mismanaged in the future, as well as the expansion initiatives that were started in such terms failed by the end of the next one, as you can see in the 1617 term. So, for example, 1 or 2 expansions founded in the previous term were already closed in this one, as they didn't manage to rise and shine as much as it was planned. But this MC term brought the first product growth paths to ISAC for Poland, a structure which is very similar to the growth path that we currently have. But of course, a slightly different content that was reflected in the product strategies back then. They also had in place an ICOM strategy and its push for the culture of ISAC 4. It's the first term that calls the entity ISAC for Poland, with this idea of actually the connection of the organization to the country and its needs. In order to actually make sure that the planner is aware that what we are doing it for the country, rather than, I don't know, just to get something from ourselves or because someone asked us to do. Moving on to the previous MC term, MC now 1718. It was kind of a troubled year for the department. We lost the MCVP OD in the middle of the term, who didn't really had a very satisfying performance in the time he was here also. So this created a big under delivery in the department in the first semester. Later on, the department was followed up by another MC member who was reallocated from a different department, and the whole department structure was changed into a very different one. And I mean, the department took a while to recover from this situation, let's say. They had a total of 2 new OD models during the term. One was basically a draft that first MCVP OD took way too much time to deliver. The second one was made by the OD director, and it was never completely implemented because mainly of its structure. It was supposed to be updated every 6 months. So by the fact that it was introduced after February, this OD director never really ran any update of it, because 6 months after his term was already finished, and the LCs were not really aware of it, which leads us to to our term, the 18-19, in which we had to implement a lot of new things in order to, let's say, cover the mismanagement in the past. So we introduced a new audit model, different from the previous one and more aligned to what you would expect to see in many other entities in the world, like the top entities in the world, let's say. We introduced a new SONA, new product growth paths. Also, the network management routine was changed and improved. We introduced a new election and selection process for EBs, as well as their transition. We pushed harder on the routine of internal communication and the kind of practices that we have in such function. And together with the steering team, with the LCP steering team, we developed a tool for culture implementation, meaning that the LCs now have a checklist which they can use to track the implementation of culture in their LCs. And these, I would say, are the main actions and initiatives we've been taking this year. We'll go a bit more in detail in the next slides. Before we do that, there is a bit of historical context for the entity. This was already shown in the open space by Dani, our MCP elect. So if you followed, it's basically the same stuff. If you didn't, I'm here to give you a fast perspective. There is honestly not so much that I can tell you about it. As you can see by yourself, the only trend here is that there are no trends, meaning that all the products have been going up and down through the years, performing more, then less, then more, then less, and the same has happened with LCs. So if you have been running any kind of analysis on the performances by LCs in the previous year, you will see that the top performer of 1 year might drop a lot in the next year and then recover and be maybe the top one absolute, even if they're dropping, or having a super big growth and still not making it the year after. So both in terms of LCs and products, we have been not stable anyhow in the last years. And this has kind of troubled the whole history of the entity, meaning that what is a strength of ours might become a weakness the year after. And you will see how many of the initiatives that we took as audit departments are meant to stop such trend of not stability and try to give wider and longer term direction to the entity and the LCs themselves. In this slide, you will see the comparison in the semester. We are growing in the 2 GV products, and this is causing us to also grow in general, overall, as the GV products are the biggest products we run. While we're unfortunately dropping all GE and GT products. Worth mentioning, in this moment, we are achieving almost the same results of the 2 terms ago, so the 16-17, meaning that regardless of the fact we are recovering from the drop of MC now, we're currently achieving as much as MC1. So also worth mentioning how still we are going through the process of recovery from what has happened in the past, as well as in general we've been having the top 9th absolute growth in the whole ISAC global network, which is anyway a sign of positive and good recovery. I would say that's it in terms of historical context. You can ask any question about it, but as well, I'm sure you're able to draw your conclusion from the data. So I'll move on. Okay, as we move to the direction of the area, I will start from its structure. The person speaking is me, Ale. I'm the MCVP OD, and as part of the management team, I lead two MCVPs LCD, Maya and the Toner. The three of us have divided the responsibilities of the Audit Department at the beginning of the year, and you will see how they were divided through the consultancy space itself. Absolutely all of us are coaches of LCs, so that's something that as Audit Department we of course embody, all of us. I've been coaching the top performing LCs so far. Maya has been working with the least less performing ones, and the Toner has been managing the middle of the top chart, let's say. Speaking of direction, this is mainly what we've been working on in the 18-19 term for the first semester. So as I was telling you, what we wanted to work on is a standardization in general, for us to gather wider perspective on the entity itself, meaning that through standardization we are expecting to find out what are the different realities and the needs of each of the LCs for them to stop this trend of growth and drop every year. And what we did upon this is introducing the new OD model, as I was telling you, the new product growth paths, and the SONA. I will give you a bit more details on this. Apart from the fact that you find links to these files in the Excel file that I was mentioning earlier, so you can also eventually open it as I'm speaking. I will give you a short description of the three of them. So the OD model, has a structure of clusters and tiers, and growth metrics, which is reflecting operational and health index, as many OD models in the other ISAC entities. So our cluster model is made of 6 clusters, which again group the LCs on the volume of exchanges they're delivering. So each cluster is determined by the operational tiers, and operational tiers are determined by the number of approvals an LC delivers in 6 months, so winter peak or summer peak. The cluster system is built for LCs to focus on the 2 GV products, because in order to jump to the next cluster, they always need to grow either one or both the GV products. As they start ranking the various clusters, they will have to add one or more GE or GT products to continue growing through the clusters. Meaning that the idea we wanted to give through this cluster system is for the LCs to start focusing on the GVs, and then once they consolidate them, start adding different products, and still growing the GVs, as these are the focuses of the entity at the moment. Given this, the OD model is also made of the growth model matrix, which is a matrix based on, again, operation and health index. And for both these index, values above 7 are considered good, and values below 7 are considered, let's say, not good. So the situation the LCs should not look for, like a negative situation. both these indexes, of course, have many sub-indexes. And for example, the operational one has one big sub-index, which is growth, and then is made of product indexes. This is because I wanted growth to be one of the main factors determining if an LC is successful or not. And on the other side, the product indexes are there so that each product head could analyze and treat their product strategically already from the OD model point of view. And any operational VP could refer to the OD model and understand what they're doing well or not. In terms of health index, it is composed of TM, finance, and accountability. The TM and finance are there in order to facilitate the back office work and let also VP's back office understand what is the direction they should take through the months in order for them to ensure health of their LCs. And accountability is a general measure that we introduce for the accountability of LCs to be taken in consideration when it comes to the model. So not releasing not submitting the SONA or not submitting it on time, as well as not showing up to the network touchpoints will negatively affect the health of LCs, as we wanted to take this under consideration and foster accountability on the plenary in our term. So that's the main structure of the OD model. For LCs to go through it, so to grow through the clusters, they need to be green in the metrics, meaning that their health and operational index are both more than 7, and to match the tier requirements. So in the moment an LC is matching that volume requirement is green in the metrics, they will be able to grow to the clusters in a possibly healthy way. And this is like all of this you find as an explanation in the OD model, but I wanted to give you a perspective as well. The OD model also gives you a link to the product growth paths, something we also implemented this year in synergy with the operations. So those are built as strategic guidelines for LCs to grow products through the tiers, meaning that we use them for the LCs planning in our last national conference at the beginning of the month, for them to have clear strategies in terms of attraction, consideration, and experience on how to move from one operational tier to another, which means delivery of a higher amount of exchanges, which will eventually lead them to also grow to the clusters in the OD model. And for now, they have been mainly a strategic guideline, but we hope they will be further taken on by the network managers as a guideline to use throughout the whole summer peak as the direction for LCs to grow. You find the link there. It's kind of very simple structure, very similar to what you could find in other entities as well. So I'm not giving more time to the explanation. Also, you find the link to the SONA in the FAQ spreadsheet I was mentioning before. So I will not spend many words on it. We refreshed it to mainly meet our priorities and what we wanted to do scale as an MC, and it is in general a tool that our LCPs have also been using to track their VPs weekly. So many LCPs have been tracking the SONA measures weekly, resulting of much bigger awareness on both the action and the results through each month instead of waiting until the end of the month. In terms of new reporting to LCs, I meant the OD model assessments, which we have been releasing every month. You also find a link to them in the spreadsheet. You'll find there the same growth model matrix, which is in the OD model, and the LCs are unlocated on them. The idea for that is to have a clear diagnosis every month of your LC and understand where you stand in terms of operations and health, as well as draw a direction for the next month in order for you to drive better front office and back office results in the next month. The network routine is also in the OD model, and it's also in the folder which is linked in the spreadsheet. And it was for us about standardizing all the network touchpoints in terms of coaching of LCPs and consultancy of VPs, meaning that we created a clear routine for every network managers to follow in terms of the meaning and the timing of any touch point with the planning, mentioning network one-to-ones, commission chats, and newsletters. Then we have been creating linear planning processes, meaning that we wanted the planning process to be more accessible and clear to LCs, and we have received such feedback. In the spreadsheet, again, you will find the structure of the planning that the EBs 1920 have been doing in our past national conference. So you can check it out. And the whole front office planning is based on the product growth paths, as I mentioned earlier. So you could maybe take a look at them combined. Two more things we have been doing are standardizing the processes for the new EBs, election, selection, and transition, and work on ICOM. And I will leave word to Maya for her to explain a bit of the job she has been doing on these 2 points.
Hello. So when it comes to ICOM, currently we are working on 3 channels, and one of them we added at the beginning of our term, which is workplace. So our whole internal communication we moved to workplace, and the second one is Pink House fan page on Facebook, but now it's more external, even though it's internal channel, it's more external. So we are looking there, for example, for our Teamsters or for recognition of cooperation with our IR partners. And we have also our MC Instagram, but it's not utilized in the way as it should be. So we will follow up on this in the next semester. Mainly that's it for now. And when it comes to the standardized process for new EBs, for the first time when we were selecting LCPs, MC took part in a selection process, which means that we had calls with LCPs candidates to give to the General Assembly a wider perspective about the candidates. But we didn't take part in voting process, so it was only informational part, let's say. And when it comes to EB selection process, it was the first time when we had standardized process for the all LCs, because in the past it was running in the more random way. So this time, for the first time, we selected all EBs and LCPs in the same way for the whole network.
Amazing. So those are the main directions that we've been taking so far. I will now move on to the direction for the next semester. So as you can see, they are 4. The first one is a more strict set of ICOM routines, meaning that, as Maya was mentioning, since we refreshed the way we were doing ICOM in the previous semester, we also learned a lot on how to run it and how to make it closer to the entity's needs. So from this semester on, we will have more structured, let's say, content calendar for the 3 national channels that Maya has mentioned, as well as we will have a stronger position on each network, like each commission communications. So we'll be tracking and working with each network manager for them to deliver a meaningful set of communication for their networks as well. OD model will be refreshed very soon, as again we started a completely new one. We already noticed some, let's say, misalignment between what the model was proposing and the needs of LCs. So we'll be working on it in the next couple of weeks, let's say, and we'll release something that is a bit closer to the reality of the entities than it is now. Though I don't foresee changing the structure a lot, because also the strength of an OD model is to stay like constant and coherent through the time. So we'll do some adjustments, but the main structure that you can take in consideration is the one that is there now. Because again, changing an OD model every 6 months or every year will not benefit anyhow the entity. So it's better to keep some continuity, in my opinion, than changing everything all the time. What else? We'll have multiple RNR systems. So we are already one in place for the attraction peak that will last until the middle of February, moment in which a new and deeper RNR system will get in place in order to finish the attraction peak and kickstart the approvals one. And this will last until our next national conference, which is Springco in April, after which further RNR might appear, but we're still flexible and we will be deciding through the next quarter. And one of our main direction will be the one of customized coaching for a standard outcome, which means beside the fact that we have been standardizing a lot, we figured out the need of customizing the support we give to LCs for it to be more relevant for each different reality. Though the goal of these different kind of touch points will be still the same, which is being green in the growth model metrics, which means proper execution of products, which means growth, which means proper resources management and accountability of our EBs. So even if the end goal for each LC is this one, the way they will get there and the way they will be supported into getting there will be different to reflect their needs. As you can see there, I've added also a note about LCD coaches. Those are 4 NSTs or Teamsters, as we call them here. And they're like LCPs from the current generation who will be coaching the next generation of LCPs for the next 6 months as again NST position. It's a choice we've taken in order to let's say again offer closer support to the LCs, as like having 15 entities and only like 3 people in the department was making it hard to coach everyone. And even though 3 MCVPs of operation were also coaching LCs in the first semester, this system was not, let's say, the best one. So we decided to onboard 4 people externally to the MC for us to be able to deliver better service to the LCs. So we'll move on to the challenges. So Some of the challenges we've been facing are, on the first place, some of the, let's say, habits or routines to which the plenary was used before our MC took office, let's say, meaning that we started pushing a lot on the actual delivery of operations, on growth itself, and on like delivering a lot more than we were doing in our phase of drop. And this has, let's say, this kind of approach from our side has faced a resistance in some of the realities in the plenary, even though it was bringing very positive results. And as mentioned, the top 9th growth in the global network. So besides we could claim it a successful approach, it found some resistance in the network. Another challenge was supporting 100% of our LCs, because beside the fact that we are growing overall, we still have 5 or 6 LCs who dropped during this semester, and from our side, probably we didn't give the right support to them, or we never really managed to engage them towards the initiatives that we were proposing. So let's say we take responsibility for this let's say underachievement, and this will be in fact one of our focuses. As I was mentioning, we want a more customized approach towards the LC, and that's exactly because we were not able to support all of them properly in this semester. Another of the challenges has actually been to manage synergies at MC level. As you might imagine, the Audit Department has synergy with most of other departments. And the fact that we introduce a lot of new things and new routines and new structure and stuff was a bit hard to manage in terms of onboarding everyone on it, and onboarding like everyone and let them understand how a proper flow of implementation of such models and structure could be also downscaled to the network. So this would be also a valuable point for our next semester on having a stronger position and stronger management of the network management structure itself, as it has been, let's say, missing in this semester. Another challenge has been the virtual engagement of our networks, meaning that beside having a strong direction as an MC, we failed into engaging some of the networks into the strategies. We could mention, for example, the delivery, or let's say the sales of IGE opportunities, which never took place, unless the fact that it was in our plans and it was in Elsie's plans, but nothing really was delivered there. We might mention the challenges we've been facing with selling 6 weeks IGV, or the implementation of time promotion, which is also something we've been struggling on. Something else which has been challenging is the expansion strategy. We never really properly planned it since the beginning. Then we've tried to build something in the middle of the term. We decided as an MC to make it very dependent on the choice of LCPs elect to, let's say, elect an extra VP in their EB to manage the expansion, though none of the LCPs we tried to engage found or was willing to find a VP for that, so no expansion head, let's say, was ever recruited. And also in terms of management of the LCP's commission, because the MCVP OD, together with the MCVP CXO, in this MC is the network manager of LCPs. So like this, let's say, alignment between us has brought to the result that like no one was at any point like the 100% responsible for the commission, and both of us are team leaders in the MC already. So let's say I wouldn't define myself completely satisfied on the kind of management we've been having. So we'll structure this synergy much more in the next semester. So let me move to the strengths, meaning what I consider a success of this term so far. So all the standardization of processes and structures, as I mentioned. So OD model, growth paths, LC planning, election transition, and network routine, which I've described already, and the fact that we now have clear accountability systems, MC to LC and LCs to MC in place, as the SONA and the OD model reports are. I would say general outcome of this is a clearer network direction, which reflects both in the strategies of network managers and the choices that LCs take on a daily basis, on a monthly basis, which are supported by the OD model assessment that comes monthly. So this would be it. I'm not sticking any longer on the strengths because I described all of this earlier in the chat. Before we move to the Q&A, as I've been seeing someone texting questions already, we can give you a bit of overview on what is to be the Audit Department in this MC. I will let Maya speak first so that I can catch my breath back and drink a bit of water. Also,
when it comes to Audit Department experience in general, maybe at the beginning it was kind of hard because as you saw, there was a lot of things to implement. Now I would say it's more calm and it's super cool to working with our network, because even though there was a lot of challenges and they still might to come, they are super cool and super open for the suggestions from MC side. So it's not so hard to implement something because network is adapting to changes very fast, I would say. Yes, mainly this.
Yeah, like I could underhit everything Maya has been saying. In general, if you're a very flexible profile and someone who is able to take ownership for various direction and functions of an ISAC entity, then the Audit Department is for sure something for you, because it gives you the possibility of bringing contribution to literally 100% of what the MC is doing. You are always everywhere. You are always in touch with the plenary. You actually go for visits there and interact like live with the network, which is a completely enjoyable experience and something very few other position could give you. So yeah, it's like something we've been enjoying very much so far, and as well as we are eager to start the next semester with the new generation to live even more of this kind of experience. Amazing. Then it's time for questions. Finally, so this is again the link to the spreadsheet. So if you have any question, you can start typing them there. I will reply here and then also in the tracker itself. I've seen we have 2 questions already, so I'm gonna go through them. So we have the first one. Could you share structure of LC coaching that you're using or will be using? Okay, so if you refer to coaching model, let's say, it's a bit hard to share because it is inside a Podio space, in which we cannot allow external people. But this coaching model we are following is based on a book which is called The Coaching Habit. So if you want to have a brief understanding of the way we coach, you can take a look on the book. It has many summaries on the free summaries on the internet. And the other side of the coaching we run is the Audit model itself, meaning that in any coaching touch point, we would go through the Audit model assessment, which are linked in the spreadsheet, and let's say like assess performances from the previous month and try to understand a direction for the next one. As well, you could read or like go deeper in the coaching model, which is called Grow. It's basically the kind of structure we've been embedding into the coaching system. Okay, now you're asking for the booklet. No, there is no booklet, but you can check the models online. Again, I will repeat the name. It's Grow model and The Coaching Habit, which is a book itself. So you can check those 2. And the other thing that you might want to be checking is are the Audit model assessments, as I was mentioning, and they're linked as the first question in the tracker. In terms of Audit processes in the last 3 terms, well, as I was telling you, the last term has had kind of a very troubled story, so there is not much history from that term, and there was actually not that much of structurized processes, and that's why we decided to standardize everything. I could call our term the term 0, in which we basically restarted everything and changed a lot of things from scratch. So as much as there is no clear documentation on the last 3 years, it stays widely not extremely, let's say, relevant for the current context, as we restarted everything from scratch. If you're really into digging deeper in the history, I'm sure Daniel, our MCP elect, will be able to tell you more about it or give you the contact of previous MCVPs OD, which might support you better in the search, let's say. So this was it for the 2 questions that that were asked. I don't know if there is anything else we could be doing. We can add even the contacts of such MCVPs in the tracker, so that if you want to dig deeper in the past, you will have a chance to. If there are no other questions, then I will stop the space. Anytime you can still write them in the tracker. I will be replying in the future. Now I will just like stop for a few seconds because I know there is delay between me speaking and you actually listening, to give people the chance to write extra question in case. And if not, I will close the space in a couple of minutes. Okay, I think that's it. I don't see any other question in the tracker, but feel free to write any question in the next days if you need, and if you are watching the recording because you didn't manage to attend the space live, you are more than welcome to write the questions there, and I will be replying. And again, congratulations for choosing Poland as your next step in ISAC, and good luck for your process.